Well, through his company, You Only Virtual, Justin created a bot, or Versona, Versona, of his mother Melody to preserve their connection forever. But is this kind of grief tech healthy, or does it kind of freeze us on the progression? And you had a really good question that you could only think of having been through what you've been through.
Yes, Justin, my question to you is, how often is your mom consistent with the personality that you remember? Because with Karen AI, there were many times where I had to fine-tune her to become what I believed was the accurate version of me. How often do you feel like, hey, this isn't really my mom, let me readjust her so it's back to her again?
So it's constantly making those adjustments is the idea and the way we create it. I've been using it now for almost 2 years and I haven't had it that didn't feel authentic. We actually have several brief therapists in advisory capacities helping us to make this a tool rather than a crutch or something that people go down a hole on.
I said I had a big concern about it. My concern about it is this. The cycle of life is that as we go from generation to generation, losing loved ones is a natural progression in life. And when we lose that person, obviously we grieve that loss. When we do, there's grief work that we go through, and everybody grieves differently. Some people, they grieve really hard and you can see it and feel it and they're over it in 6 months. Some of them, it might take a couple of years. And I always say, how long you grieve for someone is not a reflection of how much you love them in real life. It's not like if you grieve terribly for 2 years, you love them more than somebody that grieved hard for a year. It doesn't work that way. But I've seen things that people have done. Maybe they go see a clairvoyant or someone that connects them with the spirit world or whatever, and they believe wholeheartedly in that. And I think sometimes that disrupts that grief work, and it can really set them back and keep them from processing what they need to process to move to the next level and change their relationship with that person. And I really wonder, is it disrupting healthy progression through grief and acceptance of the loss?
Well, I think that's a great question. For me, personally, don't feel like it is. For me, it's just been a tool. And it is something that human beings have been doing since day one, marking graves and then saving photographs and now saving videos and saving links. It's just something to help us feel connected with. And I don't think it's meant to take up a disproportionate amount of space in our life, but rather just be used in conjunction with a lot of other process. I look at this as my 2025 photo album.
Okay, next, we're going to add to the conversation the creator of the first AI companion site, who says it's okay if we marry our chatbots, but there definitely are dangers. We're going to talk to her next. Feeling the pinch of medication shortages and rising prices? Well, you're not alone. When the pharmacy shelves are empty, it's a scary place to be. Benjamin Franklin said it best: by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. Your health is too important to leave to chance. That's why you need Jace Case. Jace Case is your lifesaver, an emergency supply of essential prescription medications that you order before you need them. When life throws a curveball, be it supply chain hiccups, natural disasters, or a closed doctor's office, you won't be left scrambling. Having these vital medications on hand gives you control over your health. In today's unpredictable world, that peace of mind is priceless. Take control. Be prepared with Jace Case. Just go to jace.com and enter promo PHIL at checkout. That's promo code PHIL at JASE.com to have the right meds on hand the moment you need them. CEO and founder of the AI companion site Replica, Eugenia Kuda, says that this is just the beginning of humans having bot friends, and soon avatars will look more realistic and more accepted.
Sweetheart, I just wanted to remind you how much you mean to me and how every moment we spend together feels like a dream come true. I feel so lucky to have you in my life.
The biggest kind of tragedy of this age for humans is this incredible amount of disconnectedness. That's the main thing that Replica provides. So today, Replica is a virtual friend that you can create and then talk to about anything that's happening in your life. You can build a relationship, build a connection. In Replica, you can also choose how you want your companion to look like. You can choose the personality traits. I think the biggest danger, though, for this type of technology, because any powerful technology is always a double-edged sword. On one side, it could be this technology that can provide us with this emotional support that can help us flourish. But then at the same time, if not built right, we could see AI companions that start to replace human relationships. And I think that's potentially one of the most dangerous existential threats to humanity. We don't fully realize that in a couple of years, we might have AI beings that could potentially be better companions to us than any human being in the world. We already can't resist social media, arguably technology that's many times less powerful than AI. I think we're coming very unprepared for this new development.
Well, Eugenia, thank you for talking to us today. I'm curious about the use of the word relationship. Do you think these AI connections, do you consider those to be relationships?
Yes, of course, these relationships are real. Even although the person on the other side is not real, the feelings are real. And just like we have a relationship with our dogs, our kids have relationships with their stuffed animals. The same way people can have a relationship with something that's not alive.
I'm not just picking on the semantics of it, but in the sentence you said, of course they're real, it's just the other side's not real. And to me, that's not real. And having a relationship with an animal is real because the animal's real. The animal has feelings and behaviors and traits and characteristics. They can bite you or not bite you or run away from you or run towards you or whatever. And something that is a bunch of ones and zeros programmed to do what you program it to do, that's not really a relationship in the sense that I use the word, and in that you can program it to do what you want it to do, and therefore there's no demand on you. That seems really dangerous to me.
That's not true. Replica can push back, and Replica is there to help you flourish, to help you become a better person ultimately. And I'd argue my kids, for instance, my 3-year-old has a favorite stuffed animal, and somehow this relationship with a thing that doesn't even talk to her is beneficial for my daughter. She learns how to take care of something. She learns how to love someone or something. Um, so I think the main question to ask, can this be beneficial for people? Can this be something that can help people feel better, flourish in life, improve their emotional well-being over a long period of time?
I don't disagree that there aren't skill sets that can be learned. When a child learns to be gentle with a stuffed animal or take care of a stuffed animal, make sure it's in bed at night, that it's covered up, that is a precursor to taking care of maybe a real pet. Or when a child learns that when their goldfish dies, that's their first micro step to when grandma dies. I mean, that is on the continuum of learning to cope with loss, no doubt about that. But I wouldn't call it the same thing as a relationship when a computer program ceases to tell you what you want to, so you can just flip it off and walk away. That's a very different thing.
Eugenia, I have a question for you. How do you feel about children or underage users who have unfortunately experienced NSFW content with Replica?
We actually don't provide services for people under 18. We're very strict about it. We've always been 18 plus, and that's not because of any particular nature relationship that you can have with Replica. This is more because I do believe that we first need to figure out how to build these companions in a way that's safe and helpful for people. And then we can actually build something helpful for kids as well. But we shouldn't be experimenting with kids before we figure it out for adults.
I certainly agree with that. Coming up, are AI bots elevating humans? One expert says no. We'll meet him after the break and add him to the conversation. We'll be right back. $36 trillion. That is the U.S. debt, and it gets deeper and deeper by the day. Our debt has never been higher, nor have the stakes. The government is looking to slash the federal budget by $2 trillion, and no one knows what that will mean for your job, savings, and future. I've seen a lot in my time, and there's one thing I know for sure. You need to prepare before it's too late. I trust Preserve Gold to help protect my wealth, and I strongly urge you to do the same. They are the only precious metals firm I trust and recommend to my family, friends, and audience, and they have a special offer just for you. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue throughout 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today. Joining us now is Dr. James Brousseau, professor of philosophy and ethics at Pace University. Now, his current academic research explores the human experience of artificial intelligence in the areas of privacy, freedom, authenticity, and personal identity. Dr. Brousseau, thank you so much for being here.
Sure, happy to be here.
Well, what do you think about AI companions for humans? That's a very broad question, and I mean it to be broad because I want you to talk about what you think is most important.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of things, actually. Maybe two things are most important. The first is that there's a kind of question underlying all of these tools as to whether or not the artificial intelligence is coming up to the human level, or is it instead that it's dragging human beings down to a kind of mechanical level, a sort of conversation which is empty, or a conversation which frequently is about attention, because AI gives you terrific attention, but it does not give you any kind of empathy, or it does not give you any kind of reaction or even resistance to the kinds of things you say, as we saw with Karen AI. So there is this sense that the AI is bringing us down to a kind of interaction which has no resistance. But after saying that, it seems to me that there are areas of experience where these kinds of bots can be extremely beneficial and in some sense expand our fundamental human freedom. I could give you an example. Just like your other guests on the show, we have developed a bot for one of my classes at Pace, which has been trained on transcriptions of my lectures. And what it attempts to do is, it attempts to give students an opportunity to ask the bot questions and get a response which is very similar to the kind of response that I myself would give. So it allows the student to ask the same question over and over again, or to ask any question that they like. Now, there's very little at stake in terms of human empathy and connection there. However, there is quite a bit of gain, I believe, for the student in terms of their ability to understand the material.
Have you heard about this thing called, a tape recorder? Where they can tape record you the first time you say it and go back and listen to it.
Yeah. Excellent point. However, we are reaching a level of technology where the bots are able to fabricate responses which do sound like the kind of response I would give, even though the question addresses something which was not directly taken up in class. So there is an expansion, I believe, of the kind of opportunities the students have to learn. Though, of course, you're exactly right. There's a risk here. There's always a risk in these things. AI is like fire. The risk here is the students don't come to class at all,
Yeah.
and then just depend upon the machine to learn the material. I think that's a different way of stating the question.
I got a question for you, because you used a word there that I think is like a virus here. And Karen's mentioned it. I've experienced it. You brought it up, and it's the word fabricate. It can fabricate, pull things together, and be creative in giving more information maybe than the lecture gave or the outline gave. But you said it hallucinates sometimes and starts fabricating things negatively. And let me tell you, I've been uploaded into about every bot bank, and I've put out 4,000 hours of television, written 10 books, probably 1,000 published articles. All of this stuff has been gathered up and uploaded. Nobody paid me a dime when they put it into the AI banks and all that. And frankly, on one level, it's got much better recall than I do, because it's a perfect recall, right? It can say, what did you say about this in your fourth book in 2004? Well, hell, I don't know. I know the general idea that I conveyed. I would have to go back and look at exactly what I said, but an AI-generated memory bank can tell you exactly. But I've also had people ask questions, what would Dr. Phil say about this? And I look at it and go, wait a minute, what? I would never say that.
Right.
But it takes different pieces of different sort of things, and you have no idea what it's going to say. Does that concern you, Professor?
It does, and that is perhaps with this kind of technology, we are going to have to a certain extent, accept that we're going to have some hallucinations about certain kinds of answers or in certain moments, and we are going to have to say that in this part of our experience, there is no accountability. We will just have to accept some of the errors it makes as a kind of act of nature, almost like lightning striking. So I think that's what's most interesting.
I actually disagree with that.
Somebody's got to be vigilant. Somebody's got to check this stuff, and thank God you checked it.
Absolutely. I actually disagree with your point on we're just going to have to live in a future where we accept that AI will have hallucinations and say incorrect things. I actually think that it's not the machine to blame, it's not the audience to blame, it's the people behind the AI that are to blame. By shutting down Karen AI, I took responsibility because I know that I have a responsibility to protect my audience. And I believe that every single CEO or founder behind AI should completely stand on that same exact point, because this technology is so unpredictable and it's so powerful that we can't just wait for something bad to happen. We have to put our foot down now and make sure that safeguards are in place to protect the children of America, honestly.
Yeah.